Welcome to this explainer. Today we're diving into a concept that is, well, deeply fascinating. We're talking about the end of the world. But hold on, we're not looking at it the way a flashy Hollywood blockbuster might show it. Instead, we're going to explore the philosophy behind it, specifically the fundamental asymmetry of the apocalypse. We'll be unpacking a very structured argument from our source texts about how things are created and, more importantly, exactly how they end.
Let's just imagine, for a second, a magnificent building. Think about what it actually takes to bring that into existence, right? You've got architects, engineers, and construction crews working for 10 whole years. It is meticulous, exhausting labor just to build it up from the foundation to the roof. Every single brick, every wire, every steel beam requires time and absolute precision. But then an earthquake hits, and that exact same structure, the one that took a literal decade of sweat and planning to build, it can collapse into dust in mere seconds. Building is just incredibly slow and complex, but destroying, it's shockingly sudden. So the crucial question we're investigating today is this: does this universal rule of asymmetry apply to the end of the world itself? This comparison really hits the nail on the head. 10 years of sweat and engineering to build a palace, but just one single minute to completely destroy it? Creation is an agonizingly slow, deliberate process of adding piece by piece by piece. Destruction, on the other hand, is instantaneous. It doesn't need a process, it just requires a disruption, a sudden interruption of the structure. We see this all the time in our physical world, and it's absolutely vital to keep this fundamental truth in mind as we move forward. Okay, let's move into section 1, a cosmic collision, scaling up to the universe. To really wrap our heads around this huge leap in scale, we're drawing on a profound philosophical framework from our source text. Specifically, we're looking at Bediuzzaman's fourth point regarding the death of the worlds and the apocalypse. And what's really interesting here is how it completely reframes our expectations. We aren't looking at the apocalypse as some random, chaotic disaster. Actually, Bediuzzaman frames it as a highly structured theological and philosophical concept. It's about cosmic logic just as much as it is about cosmic events. Let's look directly at the text. A planet or a comet, by divine command, crashing into our world, this guest house, could ruin this house. That's an excerpt from Bediuzzaman's 10th word. Think about the incredible gravity of that statement for a second. A massive cosmic event, like a rogue planet or a comet, could trigger the end of the world in an absolute instant. It directly mirrors that collapsed palace analogy we were just talking about. Just like an earthquake levels a decade-old building in seconds, a comet striking this fragile guest house of a world ruins it in a cosmic blink of an eye. The physical mechanism changes, sure, but the underlying philosophical rule, it remains exactly the same.
Next up, Section 2, the asymmetry of creation and destruction, the core philosophy.
This table brilliantly lays out the underlying logic of our whole explainer today. On one side, creation and resurrection require a wise, highly ordered, and deliberate process. It takes immense time and infinite precision to knit life and matter together into a functioning system. But on the flip side, destruction and apocalypse, that happens as a sudden, immediate event. To end something, even something as vast as the entire universe, doesn't require a slow, careful unraveling. It's simply a swift cosmic interruption. The apocalypse is sudden by its very nature, precisely because it is an act of destruction, not creation. And that brings us to Section 3, universal and personal end, echoes in the Quran. The Quran points to this sudden conclusion with striking, poetic brevity. It reads, when the sun is folded up and its light extinguished, when the stars are clouded and fall. That's from the Takvir Surah, verses 1 and 2. Notice the quiet finality in those words. There's no dramatic, drawn-out build-up here. It doesn't describe a slow decay over millions of years. It's just a sudden folding up. The light extinguishes, the stars fall. It perfectly captures that asymmetrical rule of destruction we've been tracking, the immediate, overwhelming end to an ancient, complex system. Now, let's zoom all the way back in from collapsing stars to our own daily lives, because this cosmic rule governs our fragile human endeavors too. Think about it. A personal relationship can take decades to nurture, but a single betrayal or misunderstanding can destroy it in a moment. A positive daily habit you've built up over years, that can be broken by just a single day of neglect. Even a lifelong success, a career, a reputation, built incredibly slowly, year after agonizing year, is completely capable of sudden, immediate ruin. This asymmetry of the apocalypse, this core truth from our source material, it's actually happening all around us on a microscale all the time. So I want to leave you with a final thought to really chew on. Where have you observed this slow build, sudden destruction rule in your own life? It's a pretty profound thought experiment, isn't it? Bridging the terrifying, sudden reality of a cosmic apocalypse with the quiet, everyday experiences of our own lives. Because understanding this asymmetry doesn't just explain how the world might end, it actually helps us appreciate the fragile, beautiful, and deeply time-consuming process of everything we create. It reminds us to protect what we build. Thank you so much for exploring this structured analysis with me today. Take care and keep seeking to understand the world around you.